Hello beautiful and exotic women of the world, welcome back to another video. Have you all noticed that non-black women tend to think that they are the standard of beauty across the board, and when exoticals come around, when black exoticals are in the room, suddenly that bias is challenged, and the bias being challenged leads them to do some crazy things. And this is going to be a part 2 of my original video, which is exoticals are targets for hate from all different types of women. And this is a part 2 just to expand on it more. They tend to have this superiority complex to where whiteness is the standard of beauty. And when they come across you, an exotical who benefits from the isms or has the features that they have just with brown skin or with dark skin or with light brown skin, it infuriates these women. So much so to the point where if you guys are friends and you're out at an event or a party and you get hit on more than her, she will either visibly show her uncomfortability with the situation. So she will actually show in her body language and on her face that she is pissed off that you're getting attention, or she won't say anything. She'll hide it really well, but then when it's time to go out again, you won't hear from her, or she won't really be that excited to go out with you and spend time with you in settings where there are men, because she understands that there's a chance that you will get hit on again, and it will challenge that bias that she has so heavily clung to her whole life. And it always amazes me that these women could never check themselves internally and be honest with themselves and say, why do I feel enraged when a girl who has darker skin, so technically she's supposed to be underprivileged, is getting privileges that I get? And it really does bother them to see how exoticals are able to navigate different spaces, thrive in different environments, and get the positive, best outcomes out of life, just like some of these non-black women do. And I think the psychology behind why they're so angry when they realize that they're not the beauty standard and that they're not the only ones who can be beautiful is the come to Jesus moment that they have when they realize that they have been lied to. So you have to think about it. If you've been programmed to believe one thing and to believe that you're the only thing that matters and that is attractive, and then you come across someone who you were told is underprivileged, less than, and they are just as good as you, if not better, it will send you into a mini psychosis because you won't be able to understand it. And that's fine, but the act of taking your anger out on the exotical that you're threatened by hating on her, by sabotaging her, by going out of your way to physically manifest harmful things toward this person is psychotic. And that's what I want to talk about today, how people's anger and how people's jealousy manifests into physical actions that lead to them harming beautiful black exotical women. So I want to tell you guys about this girl who I went to school with in high school, who I never really noticed because we were 1 year apart. We had an after school program that we both went to. Mind you, this was a white Hispanic girl, and she had this other friend who was, of course, from the same community as her. When we were in this after school program, we would all sit at this rectangular table, and we would have our after school program leader sitting at one end of the table, and then I would always be across from them with the other girls in the program. And I would notice how the girl would stare at me and whisper to her friend, and they would kind of like smirk and like look at each other. They were basically judging me silently. So I could tell that every time I would speak or add my input in a conversation we were having, she would look at me with this disgusted look, while her friend would kind of like just be looking down, smirking, like almost trying to hold back laughs. And it was very confusing at the time because I'm like, I don't know you. We don't have issues. What's the smoke about? What's the beef about? But for whatever reason, she had a really strong disliking for me that would show on her face when I would talk and when I would just be minding my business and kind of just study me and watch me and whisper about me. And I never got the feeling that she wanted to be my friend or be cool with me because she would smile in my face, but it was very phony. So I just always remembered that, and I always felt like, okay, until you say something to me, then we can address it and then we can press the issue. So she never did that, of course. But then a few years later, I started college, and she decided to come tour the college that I was at. She messaged me on Instagram and said, hey, I got accepted to this school and I'm coming to tour it to see if I want to go. Would you mind giving me and my mom a tour? And mind you, this was maybe like 2 years after. So I had no problem doing that because I'm like, okay, maybe she's changed. Maybe she's different now. And and no one says we have to be best friends, I'm gonna just give this girl a tour. So give her a tour. She seems excited and she's all happy and everything. And come to find out, she decides to come to the school. So at this point, I am a sophomore in college and she comes in as a freshman. And I'm thinking, okay, she's from my high school. We're from the same city. We're from the same state. Hopefully this means we can be cool. So she comes in. I'm thinking everything's fine and dandy, and we actually do kind of hit it off at first. So the first year of us being friends is great. I introduced her to my other friend who I was very close to. So fast forward to junior year, when I started to realize that there was something going on, that there was something fishy, I realized that she began to compete with me. I just started to get this vibe and energy that she didn't like me but was staying around to just study me. So we would go to lunch together and we would go hang out, but she started to become a little bit more quiet. She started to become a little bit more dismissive. And then this girl had the audacity to bring me around her little friends, and they would do the same thing that she was doing a few years ago with her friend that was in the after school with me. So when I would get around them, it was almost like I know something you don't, elephant in the room, inside jokes, subliminal. Every time I was around her, it gave I'm left out of the inside joke, and almost like, there's something that you don't know. And they would just act really funny around me, really judgmental, really passive aggressive, but also try to play it off like they loved me so much. And she would just start to move really funny with me to the point where I knew that there was something up. Then one day she came and sat down at lunch with us, and she began to brag about the black men that she was dealing with. And ladies, I know if you are a black exotical, you understand that these women love to fetishize the men in our community, and they also love to hate us at the same time. So I remember she decided to come to our table and talk about how, oh, once you go black, you never go back. And I see what you guys have been talking about now. And when she was doing this, I thought to myself, girl, do what you want. Like, no one really cares. Everyone's out here sleeping with people from outside their race. Who cares? But like, it was the way she was trying to talk to us about it. She was trying to rub it in our face that she got some black pee-pee. And it was just like, babes, that's not a badge of honor, number one. And that's not something that I feel you need to come tell us about every time it happens. And it just felt like she almost wanted to ingratiate herself into me and my other best friend's community, because we're both brown skin exoticals. My best friend is Dominican and black, and I'm West Indian and black. So it almost just felt like she wanted to be in the know about what's going on in the black community, just so that she could get access to these men and gain access to these men and almost do it through the both of us. Fast forward, she ends up dealing with almost every, because I went to a predominantly white school, so she ended up dealing with almost every little black guy in our school in her year, and even some that were in my year and older. So she just turned into a HOE, okay? Like a big one. And it was very weird to watch, because it's like, girl, you doing this only makes you look bad. I don't know what point you're trying to prove, but she would always come to us and be like, oh, I just did this with this guy, and oh, I just did this with this guy, and he did this to me, and he did that to me. And what makes this story even crazy is in the moments when she would come tell us these things, and when we would find out that she had dealings with another athlete or another good-looking black man on our campus, my best friend would always tell me she's going after guys that were interested in you at first. So the thing about me, when I was in college, I had one boyfriend in college, and if I talked to anyone else during my whole college experience, they were from off campus. So I never dealt with any athlete, any black male on our campus ever, except for the one boyfriend that I had in freshman year, and he left after freshman year. So my best friend was telling me that she feels as though the reasons why she was going so heavily after these black men that were in my year and older that, you know, would be attracted to me, was that she wanted to one-up me by getting to them first. Little did she know I wasn't going to sleep with them. I wasn't interested in them, but it just shows that she was so hyper-fixated and focused on me and what I could potentially be doing with my cootie cat that she wanted to get a head start. And part of me also feels like she wanted to feel equal to me and just as good as me by sleeping with the guys who had a romantic interest in me, when in reality, they liked me because I was me. You can't be me. And they also liked me because I had an air of mystery to me. I didn't talk to those dudes. I didn't hang around them. They weren't able to access me easily, but she was so easily accessible. She was always in their face, and she always was waiting for an opportunity to get them in bed. So baby, you're not hurting me, you're hurting yourself and your reputation. And then on top of that, she had a boyfriend who she was with for 8 years who was within the Hispanic community, and he was white Hispanic too, just like her. And so it was just weird. Like, she was having this weird jungle fever moment, and it was so uncomfortable to watch. But at the same time, while she was doing all of this, she was morphing into me. She was trying to do me, but do me better, and use what she's learned from me within the friendship to attract these men. When I was graduating, the friendship ended, so I left the school and I never talked to her again. She knew what was up because I stopped talking to her, and the interactions became so strained that she kind of knew what was up. So she went ahead and removed me first from her social media, which, perfect, girl. I love when the trash takes itself out. I love it. Thank you. But this is just one of my many examples and stories that I have that just kind of paints the picture of how non-Black women will enmesh themselves into exoticals' lives to take from them. They are jealous of you. They hate you sometimes. They don't like you, but they love you at the same time. And they want access to Blackness. This also reminds me of a girl who I was friends with in high school, who I was friends with since my freshman year of high school, all the way to my senior year. And I kind of touched on this in my last story time about this, but she was also a non-Black woman. She was a white Hispanic girl who had befriended me. I wasn't checking for her, but she befriended me. And that's always how this shit goes. At least for me it is. And she befriended me, and she started calling me her best friend, and I was just like, okay, like, whatever. I was kind of just going along with it, but we had forged a really good friendship, and it wasn't until a couple months into the friendship that I realized what was going on, and she started doing things to embarrass me in front of groups of people. So we would be in the cafeteria sitting having lunch, and she would have these crazy outbursts. Like, if I accidentally knocked over my water and some of it happened to go under her tray, she would just spaz on me and try to embarrass me and make fun of me. I didn't realize it then, but she enjoyed making me look bad in front of people because she hated me. She was threatened by me, and the best way to kind of take me down a notch, and the best way to make herself feel better, was to degrade this pretty girl who she could never be. And so this is my experience with non-Black women. It has been ugly. It has been, they befriend me to study me, to get next to me. They hate me, but they also admire me at the same time. You want to know what's so ironic about both of the girls that I had falling outs with? Who do you think they went on to be with? They went on to be with exotical Black men. Both of them went on to be with West Indian men. One from Trinidad, one from Antigua. How ironic. So they hate you, but they love the men in your community, and they use you as a pawn to get close to the men in your community. But guess what? When they go and make babies with these men, they're creating you, ladies. That's what I want you guys to take away from these stories and from my hurt and pain that I had to endure and what I had to come to terms with, is that these women admire you low-key, and the fact that they are jealous of you and couldn't just be jealous and leave you alone. They had to befriend you and do all these weird backhanded things to get in your good graces and to get in your life so that they can take from you, is insane. But it's also laughable that at the end of the day, then if they decide to have babies with these men, they're making another me. So you hate me, but you're making another me. Make it make sense. So ladies, drop down in the comment section and let me know your thoughts. Have you ever experienced hate from non-Black women who have tried to befriend you, but were jealous of you the whole time? And let me know your thoughts. I'll also be leaving my email in the description box so that you can share your stories with me there as well. Have a lovely day.